the big reason why a lot of us won't do the things that we actually want to do is because we fear failing at it because we love it so much. Like
Yeah.
failure is like the rough draft. Like it's never going to be the final copy. It's just the rough draft until we get to that point. If you don't do the things that you actually love and enjoy, you're going to spend years and time of your life doing things that you don't like, and then what you end up doing is you start normalizing it, and then you start getting sick, you're unhealthy, you're not happy, you're miserable, and it's really hard for you to pull away from it because you've spent so much time and years just focusing on things that aren't you.
Hello and welcome to The Fostered. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Miss Janell Roberts. Janell is literally one of my favorite accounts to follow on TikTok. Like, she's just like the girl that I just want to be. Like, when I vision like my best self, that is like Janell. Like, Janell is a hard worker. She is a perseverer. She's an oldest daughter like me. And I'm just so excited to share this episode with you. A little bit more about Janell. She is a best-selling author. She is a podcast host. She is a content creator. She has almost 200K on TikTok, just to throw that out there. And she is starting a media company in Dallas. I just feel so blessed to have gotten the chance to talk to her. I'm so grateful that she said yes. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Janell Roberts. I feel like I first found your content when you were doing like some, like it was like your aesthetic. You were like putting an outfit together. And it
Mhm.
was like when I was first like trying to take TikTok seriously. And so I just really loved your content and I follow like a bunch of people. I have to say, like I've unfollowed like all those other people. And like you have been the one person that I'm like, no, this is like my girl on the internet, continuously like followed. I just feel like your content just resonates in a way that some people's just doesn't come off like as authentic.
Thank you for saying all of that. I really do appreciate that because I really do try to be as transparent as possible because I started off doing Black Girl Luxury, and then it just got to
Yes, that's what it was.
Black Girl Luxury, and then it got to this point where I was just like, wait, but there's like a larger lens that I want to show because I want to highlight that there were bad days before this, and I just kind of whenever I'm posting, I want girls like me to like watch it and be like, okay, like if she can do it, I can do it. And that's like why I always just want to be authentic with my content because there's just like enough room, enough seats at the table for everyone. But I started doing social media going on 2 years now. So I started it about 2 years ago. When I started doing TikTok, I was not expecting anything to come from TikTok. I had posted a date night. I was like, let me just post like a date night. Like, let me just post something cute. I wasn't even actively on the app. I wasn't scrolling. So I posted a video, went to sleep, woke up, and then that video went viral. And I was like, oh shoot. Okay, well let me keep this going. And I think I don't know, I think the success behind it has been really, really interesting. But I also think the reason why I started doing well on social media is because the years leading up to that, I had given myself space to get to know myself. I had given
Mm.
myself space to create an identity. So I just kept saying to myself, if I do come on something like this, then it has to have meaning. I don't know. You get a lot of people that are doing it that don't really have a why, So it's been really it's been very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's been a huge transition in the last 2 years.
That is amazing. Okay, well, I like to start. I got so excited, but I like to start each episode off by asking, "What is your story?" And I feel like your story is just so amazing, so I'm excited for you to get into it.
Oh my god, that's a big question.
I know it is. Just take your own approach to it.
What is my story? Well, I will tell you my story. So I'll try to like keep it a quick one, but some people know this, some people don't. But when I was a teenager, I'm an eldest daughter. You guys know that. I grew up in somewhat of an abusive household. Um, my mom just really struggled with her mental health after leaving a very toxic relationship. So I watched my mom change throughout the process, and in this change, there was like a lot of instability. So I spent most of high school like homeless, like with my family. And I used to struggle with a lot of, I used to struggle with my identity a lot, because I feel like sometimes as a Black woman, you have to kind of choose like who you get to be in this world. Like we have to wear a lot of masks, and I think I was kind of drowning in the mask that I was wearing. I had to go to school with a bunch of well off kids, and then I would go home to being homeless. And I just kept saying to myself, like growing up, like I can't do anything that's going to subject me anymore. I've had so many low days. Why would I want to keep contributing these low days? One of my friends talked about like having an external locus of control. So external is more so like when we encounter narcissists, when we blame other people for our problems instead of looking internally. So at a very young age, I knew for certain that if I look internally and if I focus on myself, if I focus on my healing journey, then I can do whatever it is that I want to do. You know, I don't want to say it was like a smooth road, but there was like a lot of roller coasters. So um, I ended up being the first in my family to go to college. I also ended up being the first in my family to get a full ride scholarship to my college, which was like
Wow.
by the grace of God. My mom, we were like on a standby flight to DC because I went to school at American. We were on a standby flight on our way to DC, and you know, with standby flights, girl, you gotta wait. Like you can't just hop on a flight. So we were just sitting there waiting. We were just sitting there waiting. And eventually, we got on, and my flight landed at like 11 p.m., 12 p.m. that night. And my mom gave me $20, and she was like, "This is just all I can give you. You're gonna do great." I worked 3 jobs, and the irony is, like when I was at school, there was like no payments being sent to the school, so I ended up having to go to truancy court. And so the dean of students, the financial advisors, and the dean of students, they brought me in. They said, "Hey, you haven't been paying. Like you're in trouble. You might be getting kicked out of school." So I had to write an appeal letter. I was writing an appeal letter in hopes that like they would just let me stay. I didn't think that the appeal letter would be the letter that would give me the scholarship to my school.
Wow.
And it's just like my it's just like I've just learned to kind of like stay on like the beaten path of just trying to just keep going. You know what I mean? After I graduated from college, I had like sank into like a really bad depression. It was like a postgraduate depression. I was going through this like really weird awakening, and I just couldn't get rid of the excess, you know, because I've been masking for so long. I had just been going for so long. I was just like, well, I need to win. I need to do this. I was measuring myself by all of my accomplishments because what can you do when you grow up in poverty? You know, it's almost impossible for you to not compare yourself to your counterparts. So I
Hmm.
got really depressed. And at this time, I had like 1,200, 1,300 followers on Instagram. It wasn't anything crazy. And then I wrote my book, To All the People I Loved Before Loving Me. And I wasn't expecting anything to come out of it. I designed it, I did all of the art in it, and then it became a #1 bestseller on Amazon in 2 categories. And um, from that point on, I got so overwhelmed because I was getting so many messages from so many girls saying, like, I went through this, I experienced this, that I got so overwhelmed to the point where I just deactivated social media altogether. I stuck myself into therapy, I did a lot of healing. And then from that point on, I was able to move over into the TikTok world. And from that moment on, I guess like my story is I'm a perseverer. So like I persevere. Um, I've gone through a lot. It's very hard for me to like unpack. There's just like been so many
Yeah.
instances, but um, my story is I prioritize loving myself in all of the different facades I may come in. um Hopefully that hopefully I was able to like wrap that up, but that was like a
Yeah.
short form of everything else, because I don't want to go like too because I already know you're going to ask me some follow-up questions, and girl, I talk a lot, so I was just like
No,
that
I appreciate it. I
that
love it. It's,
that's
I
pretty much
mean,
it.
that's what comes through is like your resilience, like, and your strength and your work ethic.
Mhm.
I'm curious about what was overwhelming when you were getting those DMs from all of your community who was like so impacted by your book. Was it just like the praise of it, being seen?
Definitely, it was definitely the praise. For so long, like for most of my life, I really struggled with self-esteem, and it wasn't the type of self-esteem where it was just like I wasn't a girl's girl, or this girl is prettier than me, or this girl is smarter than me. I tried so hard to not be seen. I literally tried so hard to be invisible. Like that is something that I tried so hard to do. And I think there were so many just like moments in my adolescence where I just didn't want to be seen. I didn't want anyone to know what I was going through. My mom had a lot of things going on, so even at home I wasn't being seen. So I tried so hard to make myself more quieter, tried so hard to make myself invisible. When I came out with my book, it's like a lot of like just cute like little poetry. Some of my family members didn't take it well, and I think a lot of the responses that I got from family really made me kind of spiral and sink. It made me feel voiceless, and it's something that it's something, I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but I think when you learn how to empower yourself throughout your circumstances, there's going to be a lot of people around you that are going to try to tell you, you know what, like what you're saying is a lie. It isn't true. You aren't enough. Like this didn't happen this way. This didn't happen that way. So there was a lot of instances where I had a hard time believing in myself and believing in my story. So when people come in and they're just like, you're just so great. Like, I'm just so thankful. Like, I had this too. It's just like, dang, like, I don't even think I can handle like this like pedestal you're putting me on because because I don't think, I don't know, it's one of those situations like you won't know how you feel until it happens, you know. So I really I really really struggled with praise. And I think the moment that I got over that hump, that wow, like I am called to do this. There's like this quote by Marianne, and she says, it is not our darkness that we fear, it is our light. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us won't do things because we fear, like genuinely, we fear change. And it's not the change that we're going to go to a new school or we're going to have to, you know, take on a new career. We fear what we're capable of. And I think that that's what it was for me. And the moment that I stopped fearing that was the moment that I was able to step into myself. So that imposter syndrome is very real, girl.
Oh, for sure. No, I relate to you so deeply on that because even last night, like it occurs. It's like crazy how these instances show up. Like I was like finding myself scrolling TikTok for hours. I don't know if you've ever been on TikTok so long to where the little woman pops up and it's like, okay, you've been scrolling for a while.
Every
Um,
day.
while I'm supposed to be like editing the podcast and like making content. And it was just like I could feel that it was self-sabotaging because I'm in this area of my life right now where I feel like a shift. Like I feel like I'm going into another season or whatever. But keep finding myself like doing these ways of like self sabotage, and I think it is like exactly what you're saying, like running from this thing that I'm called to do.
1000% for sure, for sure. I whenever like I've spent time like running away from things that I knew would benefit me, or things that would, you know, help me step into myself, I found myself spending more time doing things that I didn't like. I found myself like taking on careers that I didn't like. I found myself taking on relationships that I wasn't happy in. And like that's like why I think like it's so important like to just go for it, and it's going to be isolating, it's going to be scary because it's a practice. It's like being reborn again. Like, and
Hmm.
I think a big reason why a lot of us won't do the things that we actually want to do is because we fear failing at it because we love it so much. Like
Yeah.
failure is like the rough draft. Like it's never going to be the final copy. It's just the rough draft until we get to that point, you know. That's what I think about. It's just like I feel like if you don't do the things that you actually love and enjoy, you're going to spend years and time of your life doing things that you don't like, and then what you end up doing is you start normalizing it, and then you you start getting sick, you're unhealthy, you're not happy, you're miserable. And it's really hard for you to pull away from it because you spent so much time and years just focusing on things that aren't you, you know, like,
No, totally. What would you say to the person that is like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I know I don't like this thing. Did you always know what you wanted to do, or did you ever have like that curiosity period?
girl, I feel like I feel like I've always kind of like had an understanding of what I was going to like, what I would be like. I knew that like I would be a person that talked. I knew I was going to be a person that worked in the media space. Like I love film, I love podcasting, I do love people, I love talking to people. I knew that I wanted to help people. Like I always knew that that was going to happen. Um, but I always knew that was gonna happen. But I also think that like I didn't think that it would happen in this way because
Hmm.
I think a lot of times people struggle to realize that dreams will change because life altering events will happen and they're beyond our control, and it's okay for your dreams to change. Sometimes like the trauma that we're experiencing and going through will oftentimes be the outcome of our dreams and what it is that we're supposed to be doing. And like that's what I think about. It's just like learning to embody all of these experiences, all of these nuances to just kind of help us get to where we want to get to. But there have been a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. There was like 2 years of my life, girl, I didn't leave the house. Like genuinely. There was
What were
like
you doing during that time? Just like reflecting?
I was depressed.
Oh, yeah.
I was so depressed. Like literally, like my fiance now, but he was my boyfriend at the time. Like
Come on, fiance.
he would go to work and then he would come home. I would still be in the same position. It was hard for me to get up and shower. It was hard for me to get up and do anything. I was like gaining weight. I'm the type of person like when I'm sad, like some people are like, I can't eat. I'm like, bitch, I'm gonna eat. Like
I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it all.
I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it. Like I'm one of those people. So it's just like I just I was so depressed. Like and in that depression I didn't know what was going to happen. I had lost so many important relationships in my life. Like I had lost the relationship with my mom. I had lost the relationship with my siblings. And it was just one of those situations where I don't know, it's really hard to have that support system when you are changing. But there have been a lot of moments where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I still have those moments today, but I think because like I'm equipped to deal with them, I go to therapy, I do what I need to do. I'm able to check those thoughts and police those thoughts and be like, okay, you're having a human experience and that's okay.
Hmm. So, was it therapy that ushered you out of that period and your boyfriend?
1000%. Like I feel like Luke was there to help me like through it for sure. But I had to also learn that I had like a codependency like factor about me. Like my codependency was more so like the savior daughter or the savior
Hmm.
complex, where it was just like I just always got to show up for this person. And a lot of times like my sense of self-worth was dependent on how I was showing up for people, and that is just such a toxic thing because you are allowed to be loved for free. Like that's
Yeah.
literally the thing. I'm like, why are we working so like we should not have to work so hard to be loved? Like, you know what I mean? Like we shouldn't have to not have those healthy boundaries to be loved, but it was 1000% therapy. And I had to go through a couple of therapists because some therapists were just like, you need to remove this family member. And I was just like, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can remove this family member. But then when I got to my third therapist who said the same thing to me, it was like a real thing. I still go to therapy. I think it's just so important. I genuinely can't even explain how important therapy is, in particular to Black women and Black people as a whole.
That is so real. I honestly need to get into therapy. I did it for a bit, and then it was that experience of Maddie being like needing to confront a family member, and it just went really bad. And I just was like, I think I've been scared to go back since because I'm like, I don't want to have to cut off my entire family. But if that is what it is, then I guess it's what it
Bro,
is.
it's hard. It is hard because sometimes you will mourn people who are still living, which I think is
Yeah.
often harder because you can sit back and you'll be like, dang, why can't they be this way? Or it makes me sad that they're this way. And it's just like we're all like on our own individual path, right? I think therapy is just it's so important, Angel. Like I can't even like explain it. Like therapy, and then also on top of therapy, it was therapy and then it was creating habits, like those little morning routines that we see of like influencers waking up at 5 a.m and doing that. That's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, they're not doing that. They're recording at 11 o'clock at night, making it seem like they get up at 5 a.m. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
waking up in the morning and just not even touching your phone and allowing your body to flow in whatever direction it needs to is like so
Mm-hmm.
important. And I think so many people put so much pressure around like changing. I think so many people put so much pressure around like having healthy habits when you're depressed. I'm so
Are you
sorry.
in your new office?
Yeah, no, I'm like in my home office and someone's knocking on the door. Can you hold on one second?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, I hate when people, bro. My neighbors, they just too damn friendly.
I wish I remembered the last thing you said, but I kind of forgot.
No,
to
it's
like
okay.
transition. You moved into a new home and now you
Mhm.
have this brand new media production office that looks amazing. I loved watching the tour on YouTube.
Thank you.
It's like that those are two huge undertakings. What is that feeling like for you right now?
What does it feel? Girl, honestly, I'm stressed out. No, I don't want to say I'm stressed out. I feel like I've been disassociating from certain things, like in a positive way. I think disassociating from things can be a good thing. I try not to let myself like have like any intrusive thoughts, but it's been a lot. It really has been a lot. Like, I kept saying I wanted to start like my media company when I was like 30, but then I went to go tour a building. I wasn't expecting. I was like, this kind of nice. Like I kind of want this right now,
It's
just for.
gorgeous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then when I applied, I like got approved and I was like, oh shoot, like this is really going to happen. And then we had moved from our apartment into this house because like our lease was up on our apartment and our dogs needed a backyard, and it's just been really, it's been a transition, but I'm very grateful for like the support system that I have. Like I'm very grateful to like have the partner that I do have, just because like he like stands up a lot, which is something I appreciate. Like, usually in I think he understands like I have a lot going on. So like today, like we this morning we woke up and he was like, we should go to the Crate and Barrel outlet and go try to find a coffee table. I'm like, okay, great, because this sounds good to me. Like I don't, this isn't something I have to do by myself, or,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been, I've been disassociating from it.
Yeah. No, Luke sounds very involved. Like even on the house tour on the office tour when you were like going through like AD and he was like, "No, we should paint everything white." And you were like, "No, I like the doors." Like I was like, "Okay, he's like really like involved here," which I love.
He's also a Taurus. He's also an only child. So he's very like, he's gonna give it to me straight. He's not gonna sugarcoat
Mhm.
it. So, so sometimes the honesty is brutal, but it's like, damn, okay, like yeah, So yeah, that's just like one thing too. Like he's definitely been supportive, because I think taking like such a drastic step like in this business like sector of my life, because Luke is like the breadwinner. So doing something like this, I was just like, I don't know, and he was just like, babe, you got this, like you got this. And it's just like I was able to put the deposit in. I've been able to pay the rent on it. We just renovated the lobby. We're about to renovate a couple of the other rooms. And I just think
Yes.
when you just I think I'm learning to not put so much pressure around things, that it can just flow. I feel like sometimes when you like obsess over it too much, it's too, you start creating doubt and all this weird
Mhm.
stuff. That's why I say like I've been disassociating from it. Like I know it's there, but I'm not putting too much pressure.
Totally. I love y'all's love so much and just the content that you share of like your dates and just like going about town. I just am so obsessed with.
And I love you and your man. He's over here helping you with the podcast. Like, no, genuinely, I love that.
Yes, we love a supportive man. Wait.
Yes, yes.
To back up to your media company though, can you tell us a little bit more about like how that vision came to be? And I'm just so excited about all of it. I'm like, how can I get in to record my podcast here?
Girl, move to Texas and you could definitely use one of the rooms. Like I'm not even kidding. But the To All the People Media will be a place for storytelling. I've had a couple people hit me up asking me if I'm going to be representing influencers, and I was like, no, I won't be doing that. But my goal is to do film, media, and podcast. So I just there's no podcast really, there's really no podcast studios in Dallas, right? And then the ones that we do have, they aren't great. The camera quality is really bad. This came about because like, when my mom and me and my mom, when I was younger, we had a very like unique relationship. We were very close. We both love film. We both love video. My mom went to the Art Institute. Unfortunately, she wasn't like able to graduate because of life stuff, but my mom used to have a lot of like projects because she wanted to be a director, so I used to help her a lot with those. When I moved to LA, I did a lot of background work to pay rent, and I absolutely loved just seeing like the storytelling. So my long-term goal is to start doing short films too, centered around like the African American diaspora, the Black woman experience, those type of things. So I think the podcast is like the segue in for this next like building block that I hope to get to probably in the next year. So yeah, I mean, it's just something that I kept trying to move to when I moved to California, it was really rough and I was about to move back after I moved out of my apartment, and then I had friends, I had a lot of people saying to me, why won't you just create that space here? And I would just be like, well, I don't think I want to create that space here. And then someone said, okay, well, you can either be a big ass fish in this little ass pond, or you could go to California and be a little ass fish in a big ass pond. And that's when it really hit me, like really and truly. I was like, you're right, why not do it here?
No, that and that's what you said something recently. I don't know if it was on your podcast or your YouTube channel, but you were saying like people always ask me like or say like I need to have the aesthetic that you have to like make content or this and you were just like just start where you are, like literally
Yeah.
grow where you are already planted. And I think that is so true because I think it's just another form of procrastination when you're like
Hmm.
waiting to get everything right or like moving to a certain place to do things, and it's like if you don't have the if that's not accessible to you or maybe it doesn't even feel like aligned, maybe that's not where you need to go, and you're literally feeling a white space right now. Like there's so many influencers in Dallas right now. I can think of like 3 off the top of my head who have podcasts, and then it's like how many people are like dreaming of doing something like that, feeling like they need to move to California or New York, like they can literally do it in Dallas, like you're making it possible for them.
Very true. Yeah, you made a really really good point about the whole aesthetic thing, and I think that definitely goes back to like fearing your light, like people just not doing things because they fear their light. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to is like creating a space where like I can help out us, like when prom like rolls around and stuff, being able to do prom drives, being able to have events,
Oh, I
being
love
able
that.
to, yes, being able to like have meet and greets. You know how like when you go to church and you have like the revivals.
Mhm.
So like I want to have like revivals, but for the girls. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
small vendors come out, have meditation, have live like shows, like just things like that. So that's really what I'm looking forward to, is like being able to also give back to my community too. So that's like something that I think about, and also just being able to do something like in a city that I used to feel so low in, like I used to just feel, I think so many people feel so low in their hometown, and I think when you get to come back and empower yourself through it, it just hits so differently.
Oh, I didn't know you were from Dallas.
Born and
Not
raised, girl.
so you moved back. Oh, what was that like coming back home? I saw something recently. It was saying like when you move back home, it feels like retreat. And I'm from Atlanta, and I just feel like like that's also because I'm gonna be moving in this next year, and I'm like I do not want to move back to Atlanta, like just anything but
Texas,
Atlanta.
I'm telling you, Texas or Austin. I could honestly see you in Austin too.
Okay, I hear good things about Austin.
Austin has a Bay Area vibe to it. Austin is very, very, very beautiful. But the thing about Dallas is you get so many different type of like so many different type of cities. But moving back home was very interesting, girl, because I had went to school in DC, so I left home, went to school in DC. But I also moved around a lot. Like there was a period where we did live in Atlanta. There was a period where like we lived in like Gainesville. There's a period we lived in the country. Like my mom had us moving around a lot. But when I moved to DC, um, I was, oh my gosh. So when we moved to DC, my plan was when I moved to DC for school, I moved there with no family by myself. I was at American, and then after I was supposed to go to Columbia. I could not go to Columbia because I was too depressed. So I moved back home, and I moved in with Luke, and I was just really depressed because I hated Dallas. I hated the culture. I couldn't stand the people. The heat was horrible. It just was not it for me, but it was more so like I was hating Dallas because it was a city that I felt oftentimes the lowest in. It was a city that
Mhm.
we struggled in. It was a city that I was homeless in. And there's just so many like beautiful things when I don't know, because I think sometimes people will try to leave their environment to run away from things. And
Mhm.
I think I've learned how to like move past that, because I'm moving to DC, I'm moving to LA. Like I was hopping around. Girl, identity crisis for a little bit. Let me just say that. She was trying to find herself in other cities, and it was not working out.
I think that's a part of like being an older sister too. Like I see such the trend like being the oldest sisters moving away to just like physically get themselves like distance so they're not being so like heavily relied upon. And I think I don't. I mean I moved across the country, so like can
Yeah.
obviously like relate to that. I lived in Nashville for a little bit too, and Yeah, I think sometimes you just need to get some physical distance to really like find yourself. But I love that you've been able to reclaim Dallas as your own and like real and now like creating a huge business there is just like so inspirational.
Wow. So I think it's so funny that you're all, not funny. You're an oldest daughter, but that I just like that. Like, so you really do understand. Like, that's what I'm
No,
saying. Like,
literally, that's what I'm like. When I found you, I was like, "This is my girl." Like
that's
Janelle
what I'm
gets it.
saying. Daughters are the ones that's gonna definitely like change the world. But like, no, you're so right. I like what you said about like how sometimes you have to kind of leave to like go on your own path. If you don't mind me asking, what was it that made you leave?
Well, so I went to Nashville for school. I went to Fisk University, it's a small HBCU, and so like that was a good amount of distance. And then I was just like applying for different jobs. So I'm in film as well, and I was applying for this thing in New York. It's called the DGA, and I didn't get it. But I also had this remote job, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I can just live anywhere. Like I don't have to live in like Nashville. And I always wanted to go to California. Like it was always a huge dream of mine, and was just like, let's just go. Like, me and Montez, we did it for a month. We stayed in LA in an Airbnb, and then we were like, okay, let's try out the Bay Area. And so then we did an Airbnb here, and then ended up just moving. But I didn't think I just felt like I was just kind of doing these steps. I didn't realize until afterwards, like, oh, I just needed to get that distance. I needed to get that space to
Yeah.
like really find myself. And I really feel like I've healed here. It is like a chaotic like life. Like
Yes,
it's
it
just so
is.
many like break-ins and but being here, I think being close to the water, I'm a Cancer. And so I think that has like been healing and the weather is just so good. Like finding a group of friends. Like I never thought I could have like female friendships. Like I was like, nope, girls just don't like me. And I've been able to find like the best women here. Yeah. I also had like a lot of like internalized misogyny that like my dad like put in me and like so like
Yeah.
that has been like amazing to like really work through and just find myself and like find what I really like. And I'm happy that I'm in a relationship also with my boyfriend where we're not like so dependent on each other. Like we don't have to like hang out all the time. We want to, but it's not like we're so dependent to where we can't like go live our own lives. And so like also being here has allowed us to just really find ourselves, which has been really nice.
Wow, that's really cool. I'm always, girl, good for you then. Like, honestly, I think it's always so fascinating how, like, your subconscious mind sometimes will work for you without you even realizing it. Like, when you said,
Totally.
I didn't realize that I needed that distance, that is a real ass thing. I can 1000% relate to that. Like, when I went away, I don't even know why I chose school in DC. I'd never even been to DC. I never toured the school. I just knew that I needed to be as far away. But at the time I was struggling with my family, my mom, but I didn't really realize like the depth of it until I was alone, until I had that quiet space that I started realizing, okay, these things were not normal.
hmm And I
These are
think also like seeing people in like healthy family dynamics and just like, or like
yes,
more normal dynamics, it's like,
yes,
oh, okay, like this was actually like really, 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 really bad.
very,
No
very true.
shade to them. Like, I don't want to be like shady to my family, but it's just like they did the best they could. And it's
Yes,
like now
that's
I have to do the best I can for me.
yes, very, very. That's very, very true. And like, it's so funny because I was literally having this conversation. I was like, I can't even describe the importance of like having just healthy female friendships. Like when I think of like my best friend Alexa, like one thing, like every time I don't know why, every time I think about my friend Alexa, like I'm on the verge of crying because
Hmm
she has mothered me in ways that I never knew that I could be mothered. Like I just think female friendships are just so important. Like but not every girl is a girl's girl. Like it's a real thing. It's a very, 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 very real thing. It's something that I've definitely noticed, like just in this new space that I'm in. Like not every girl is a girl's girl. Like even like on TikTok and social media, sometimes the comments that I do get are from people that look like me, and it bothers me.
Well, let's get into it.
I'm
So
down to get into it if you want.
I feel like when I first found your content, you had already like established yourself like in a luxury space, which
hmm
immediately like makes you not be, I guess, relatable. And like you're not the
Yes,
relatable content creator. You
yes.
already know where I'm going.
Girl,
um,
I know.
but your story is one that is relatable, which is why I think you draw people in, and it is that aspirational thing. But then people blow you up. They get you successful, and they see you like getting all these brand deals, getting the house, starting the business, and then they shit talk it. I just don't understand that. How did your mind even process something like that.
It's been so interesting because I've been living like this for a while now. I'm not gonna lie. Like me and Luke have been together for 7 years. We've been having like this consistent life for I would say probably the last like 5 years. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I actually show a lot less now. Like I won't show anything. Like I'm just like I'm not gonna like show too much.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like I have met a lot of influencers who also just they'll lie and say like they have this car or have that lifestyle and this and this and that. And also when I was posting that type of content, I was attracting people I did not want to be friends with at all, or people I didn't want around me, because I feel like my content was feeling very, very superficial. And I'm not a superficial person at all. Like genuinely I'm not. Like it's very interesting. Like even some of my friends, I would ask them about my content. Like, what do you think? They're like, I love it. It's just like I wish you would just show more of like yourself, like more of your personality. And I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
I know you're right, you're right. And a part of me was afraid. It was very interesting because some of the comments what I would hear was like, oh, she's only doing so well because like she's like with a white man, or like she's only doing so well because of this. She's only doing so well because like she's like conventionally attractive. And those are things that I do acknowledge. Those are things that I have to pay attention to. Like colorism is a very real thing. Light skin privilege is a very real thing. And if like you think otherwise, then like you're a part of the problem. That's genuinely how I feel about it. I know that there's pretty privilege. I acknowledge all of those things. However, I am not someone that's just like going to put someone else down because of that's just not how I operate. Like my entire
Mm-hmm.
friend group is just, we're all types of different people, women, and I just love to have that type of diversity. There was that aspect of it that was very hard for me. And then there was the aspect of like, she's only doing well in life because of her partner. That bothered the fuck out of me. Because when I met my partner had no money, like at all.
How did
Um,
you meet?
I was working as a receptionist at a car dealership, and it was with one of my high school friends. And Luke would come in, and he was always just very smiley, cheeky, or whatever. Um, but it wasn't like anything. It wasn't like, I don't know. I thought he was handsome, but it wasn't anything crazy. I was like, he just looks like I would never think I was his type. People would probably never think he was my type because he looked like a little fraternity brother, like honestly, just very different from me. So he was friends with one of my friends, but um, we followed each other on social media. Nothing happened. We didn't talk or anything. 7 months went by. And then when I was in college, I came home for Thanksgiving break and I got in a bad car accident. I broke my hip.
Mm.
So during the time that I broke my hip, Luke was on Facebook talking about he has pneumonia. He's so just whining or whatever. And I was like, well, dang, at least you don't have to relearn how to walk. And then he slid in my DMs. And he was just like, did you really break your hip? I was like, yeah. And he was just like, do you want to hang out? And I was like, no, I have a broken hip. And he was just like, okay, well, whenever you feel better, do you want to hang out? And then when we hung out, the first time we hung out, we just kept hanging out.
That's
When I
how
was,
it is.
that's how it is. I remember he like Luke picked me up in his grandma's expedition. Like he was driving his grandma's car. I remember when he got his first shop, it was like literally like in the hood. Like it's just like I was a part of all of these things, but then a part of me also had to accept when it came to content creating that it is not my job to humanize myself or normalize myself to people. However,
Mm.
I did realize that I could do a lot more with my platform if it was more so in its essence that like I can really showcase like who I am, because before social media I was a writer that was writing things to try to empower people. When I
Mhm.
went to school, I wanted to work in media broadcast journalism. That's what my degree is, to empower people. So my I started like talking on my videos, all of the things that were in my head. Like that's like why sometimes I'll say, like have like my little positive affirmations, because that's
Mhm.
like freely talking in that moment about like what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. And like I just really want people to know that where I am right now in life is an end result of like what I was going through back then. And I think like if I can't show them me getting out of the mud, I can show them me out of it, if that makes sense. Like it's just
Mhm.
like I can talk about those things that I went through. I can explain it to them because sometimes we don't want to hear someone telling us, "Oh, you're going to get through this, you're going to be fine," unless their life is reflecting everything that they're saying.
Yep.
Like that's when I started realizing like I honestly could be doing more. I started getting bored with my content. I started getting bored posting Black Girl Luxury. It honestly started feeling very superficial. Like I was just like
Yeah.
this is just not the wave. And like I had a conversation with Luke. I was like, I don't know if I want to create this content anymore. And he was just like, you can still like show like tad bits of your life. He's like, we have a nice life. He said, but just show more of yourself.
Yeah.
Like just
I
show
think
more.
that's why like I didn't unfollow you. Like whereas I unfollow like a lot of other people. Sorry to be so blunt like that, but
I'm
I because it was like I think as you were like kind of getting tired of it, like a lot of people were also like, okay, well,
like,
like this is not really something I want to see. Like I feel we're going through a recession, babe. Like I don't want to see
yes,
your luxury. I don't want to see your freaking G wagon. Like I want to see you as a person. And I
yes.
think that is like the real thing too about like building an audience. People don't really care about the stuff. They care about like you as the human.
Mhm.
And I'm just so happy that you started sharing more of yourself with us because your story is just so inspirational.
Thank you so much. Also, one thing I noticed too is like not a lot of people have depth. Not a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people.
Oh no, not at all.
Like
The girls
it's
are lacking depth a little bit, and boys too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so like this is probably just a stupid thing to say, but whenever I see comments with girls when they make comments saying, "Well, I'm going to start creating content when it looks this way, when I have this," I'm like, start right now so your audience can grow with you. Like literally, my favorite creators till this day that I watch are people that are in their mother's houses or their parents' houses doing their makeup.
Monet
Because
McMichael is, I feel like a great example of that.
literally, that's what I'm saying. And it's just like I think there's just so much beauty, especially if you're a young person, especially if you're a Gen Z, especially if you're new to this space, especially if you don't have a quote unquote aesthetic or whatever that bullshit is. It's just like people want relatable content. So start right now. Like
Hmm.
literally start right now. Like that's what I'm saying. Just like just do it with what you can and empower yourself with the things that you do. Like I meet so many people, like I meet so many girls and they have conversations to me and they're like, "Well, I want to do content or I want to do this, but my hair is falling out or like I'm struggling with my weight." And I'm just like, "Okay, make content around that, girl."
Yeah.
Make content around that. Like empower yourself with it. Like genuinely. Like, oh, you're struggling with your body right now and you want to lose weight. Okay, do the 75 hard challenge or whatever and document it every single day. You say
Don't do
you're not
that. That challenge was scary, but maybe.
going to the gym or whatever. Like you're talking about like your home, you're talking about like your home like aesthetic and like you don't like your home aesthetic. How about create content saying like I don't have the conventional aesthetic. But this
Hmm.
is my day in the life. I want to show you guys what I come up with. Like that's the type of stuff that I like to watch. That's the type of stuff that's real. We love a come up story. I think it's
Yeah.
actually harder for you to come into this space as someone that is like well off and you have no meaning and you just really don't have like much depth, which is something that I don't want to say I don't have any meaning or any depth, but that's something that I really struggle with coming into this space because it's just like, okay, well, I already have this, and this going on. Like I already have this type of lifestyle. Like I don't really know how to like kind of dive into that and push into that. And then I knew that I wanted to start my business. So I'm really happy to kind of show this aspect of my life too. Something that isn't so superficial, something that isn't, so if that makes sense.
No,
Hopefully,
totally. I mean, I am living for your like I'm loving you in your hosting era right now. You actually so I didn't know like Aveline was sold in Whole Foods because I was
yes,
hosting a little something and then I was like, wait, where did she get that? Because I had been following that wine, but you could only order it. And
yes.
then I went to Whole Foods. I was like, Janelle put me on. Like I didn't know that this was
If you like it,
available. I did like it. I got the rosé. It was pretty good. And it didn't give me a headache, which I liked because normally wines give me a headache.
bro, it's Cameron Diaz's wine. It has no
Yeah.
sugar. It's vegan, cruelty free. Like it,
And
girl.
it was only $20.
It's cheap. That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
another thing too. I don't want to post anything that people can't go out and buy. I literally had
Yeah.
to challenge my manager. I said, "Don't send me things that I don't use. I don't want to work with brands that I don't use."
You don't manage yourself, you have a manager?
I have a manager,
Did
yes.
did you get one, like, pretty soon, like, as things were, like, blowing up for yourself?
So when I got a manager, I say I started getting I got a manager around 50,000 followers on TikTok. My first manager, girl, you will go through a couple of them before you get a good one. I won't lie. You will, for sure, for sure. I'm on my second management right now. I'm with Influence All if anyone wants to check them out. I do recommend getting a manager. The only thing about getting a manager is like you will have to give up commissions, percentages, that type of stuff, but they will also be pitching you for brands. So they can also rope in more work for you. Do I think you need a manager to be successful? No, I don't. You can always hire an assistant to pitch you for those brands. It's just that more so the management usually have the emails already. But do I think you need a manager? No.
This is a good tip
I would
information.
recommend I think like for someone like you, like because like you have your podcast and you have a lot of great things going for you. I don't see you like as an influencer. I see you more as like a personality, which I think is better. And one thing that would be really good, and I've honestly been thinking about it too, like just leaving my own management is because I don't want to stick to influencing forever. It's just getting a publicist, someone that can push your content out there, someone that can show you in its full scope. Because like if you for instance like you do podcasts, you do all those other things too, sometimes your management team won't represent your podcast. Sometimes you have to
Mm.
go out and pitch it yourself. But if you have a publicist, if you have a team, they will embody all of you together and pitch all of you together. So that's one thing I recommend. But if you're just starting out, I 1000% think you should do the management just for a little bit. Don't get too comfortable unless you love them, and then move on from there.
Okay, you touched on podcasting a little bit. I wanted to know like how have you been liking it? I like I said, you are my Tony Robbins, so like you get me hype. But I also really love your interview podcast, and I saw that you like flew to no, that's it. I don't know where I was about to say. Flew to New York to like interview a bunch of people like that, and I was like, oh, is that something I should adopt for myself? But yeah, I'm curious about your experience podcasting.
I 1000% think that you should 1000% fly out to. I think you should give yourself your own brand trip. That's what I think of it as. Your own.
Ooh,
That's what I do for to all the people. That is coming out of my pocket. I ain't even gonna hold you
of
to it.
course, yeah.
I do love it because like whenever I do one-on-one podcasts, like if you ever came to Dallas, like I want to interview you in person. I enjoy interviewing in person a lot. I
It's a
do like
completely different vibe.
yes. I do like podcasting. I do like it a lot. I really do enjoy it. I think do you ever feel burnout from it?
So do you edit your podcast too?
I edit it.
That's where
I
I get the burnout from. I
yes,
love this part. I'm like, I can do this all day. But the editing, that as soon as I have to edit, and that's why no podcast has come out for the past 2 weeks. Because I get burnt out. But I also self-sabotage. So we talked about this. But yeah,
yeah.
where does your burnout come from? Does it come from the editing side or like the filming side?
I think it definitely comes from the editing, for sure, for sure. It comes from the editing. I'm actually about to hire a production assistant just to help me out. I am a control freak. Like that, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm one of like it's just like I like things a certain way, so it's really hard for me to
What's
like
your sign? Are you a Virgo?
I'm an Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay.
Yes. Um it's just really hard for me to definitely release like control, but I definitely do feel burnout. I'm not gonna lie. I do feel burnout occasionally. So I am trying
Yeah.
to hire someone. Like that's another thing too that I want to say is like, the podcast space is majority white. I think it's 3% of it is people of color.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, so like most of my friends that do podcasts, like for instance, like my friend Kinsey, my friend Bria, like they all have people that edit their content for them. So there really isn't much burnout. But that's when you get to a certain level.
Yeah.
And even though like I have like somewhat of a decent following on TikTok, there's still some things that I have to do by myself because I'm not there yet. But it is a lot. It is a lot. I'm not gonna lie. That editing is not for me. It's not. If I was editing something that I like liked and had fun with, like even
Mm-hmm.
editing TikTok sometimes is too much for me. I'm over it. I'm down to get in front of the camera and record and do what I need to do, but editing,
Yeah, no, same. But I feel like that's why your content is so good because you are like so like you are controlling with because you want the product to be so good, and that's why like your solos. I love every single one of your solo episodes on your podcast because it's
you don't
yeah.
feel like they become repetitive sometimes.
No, and if it is, it's like I need the message drilled into my head. Like I don't care about hearing the same thing twice. Like people need to hear the same thing 3 times or something like that. Like they need to read it or see it 3 times to even like have it register. So I don't think it's repetitive at all. I want them all the time, but I understand it's a lot of work too.
My friend's gonna be on this week, so I think you'd like. He's a therapist.
I would like to know like some of your like wellness phase. I mean, you talked about therapy already, but like what else like really keeps you grounded and able to like output all this work on such a high level?
When I think about like my wellness, like outside of like, just like working out and stuff, I try to follow like what my body needs when I wake up in the morning. One thing that I really do prioritize, like when it comes to like wellness and taking care of myself for sure, is I do a lot of inner child healing. Like that's just so important to me. That just makes me feel good. It makes me feel great. I'll do something for myself, like maybe I'll take myself to go watch the Barbie movie, or I recently brought myself a stuffed animal. Just doing things like that to remind myself that we're doing it for her. It really
Yes.
helps me, like, just it creates like a gratuity in you, right? Like it makes you feel very grateful for like where you are in life, and prioritizing the little things, spending time with friends, also just prioritizing like one thing that I do that is for physical is definitely I do like a lot of lymphatic work. I had like posted a TikTok about it, but it's something that I do 2 times a day. And a lot of times we will be depressed. A lot of times
What
we
does
will
that
be.
look like? Is it like the opening up and like the
You go behind your ears and you rub for like 10 seconds, then you rub on top of your collarbone for 10 seconds, then you do your armpits for 10 seconds, then you do on top of your belly button for 10, then you do your groin for 10 seconds, and you do behind your knees for 10 seconds. A lot
mm,
of times people don't really understand that like our body also has a lot of physical waste. It has like a lot of mental waste, and sometimes if those toxins aren't released, we can still feel very depressed. So just getting lymphatic, you can do at home lymphatic drainage system, which also just helps with blood flow, blood circulation, mental like stimulation, all of those different things. Because sometimes people will be depressed, sometimes people will be sad, and they just don't know how to get out of it because like their body doesn't know what to do. Like genuinely, your body won't know how to get rid of like toxins. So
yeah.
just sticking to healthy diets, enjoying the food that you like. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
Mhm.
not so much
Oh yeah,
pressure.
you be chefing down. I see your videos.
Oh,
She's a chef.
I love to eat. I love to cook. I enjoy food, but I get to enjoy food and I get to enjoy those things because I'm not gonna put too much pressure on my size. Like I'm not gonna put too much pressure on my weight. Like if my belly want to hang out for a little bit, I'm gonna let her hang. You know what I mean?
That
Like if I
part.
don't want to if I don't want to go do a 45-minute hit workout, I mean I'll probably go do like a little slow flow yoga. It's just like I let my body be wherever it needs to be without putting too much pressure on it. Like it's just like I will eat clean most of the week, but if I want to enjoy a nice meal at least 2 times this week, I'm gonna do it. It's just like I don't put too much pressure around like my appearance, the way that I look, my body. It's just like I'm just not gonna do it. I think so many women would just save themselves a lot of time. And one thing that really helped me not do that is I started clicking not interested on things that made me want to alter my physical state. I started clicking not interested on things that made me feel depressed. I started clicking not interested on girls that didn't look like me. I started clicking not interested on things that just could possibly make me feel insecure.
I need to do that. This summer has been like really rough for my mental health personally. Just to
Really?
share a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm always going to struggle with like some version of like disordered eating. But I always every time I'm like I'm in a good place, and then it's like my TikTok algorithm just
Yeah.
shifts because I do that, and then it's like if I it's so crazy how the algorithm works actually because if you look at a video like a little too long, it's like, oh, she likes that again. So like it's just me looking
Yeah.
at one random girl's like super restrictive what I eat in a day, like a little bit too long. And that's what my For You
Yeah.
page is all again. And then I'm like thrust back into that mindset. I do feel like I'm coming out of it now. Like I really had to like work. Like last week was like really rough, like going deep into that. And so yeah, it's just I feel like it's always just gonna be like waves. And I just have to like how you were saying too with your thoughts, like just having to kind of check it and be like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. We are
No,
in a better place now.
no, for real. You definitely have to click. You 1,000% have to click the not interested, because that goes back to what I said. Is like sometimes like we'll be fed information online that these girls aren't even following. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
pretending to follow. They're just pretending to follow it, and like that's like why I say like don't chase a certain appearance. Just chase it. Just chase health. Just chase like the healthiest version of yourself. I remember when I deleted social media for 1 year and I got back on it. My eyes could not handle visually what I was seeing. Like
Mm.
I like I, it, think about it. Like when I see, not to like bash him, but when I see like Kim Kardashian, like these are like the levels of standard of beauties, right? Before I got off, I'm like, oh my god, like Kim is she's gorgeous, she's beautiful. I'm not saying she's any less beautiful because she's gotten work done, but getting off of social media for a year and then getting back on and seeing that, you really
Yeah.
start able to see that like this is not normal.
Yeah.
That's why you click the not interested, because there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, this is a good reminder. Thank you so much for that, honestly.
No problem. Just click that not interested, girl. You'll be fine. I'm telling you. Telling
Okay.
you, it helps. It helps.
No, you're right. Every time I've done it, it has helped literally so much. Or just unfollowing just anything that doesn't align.
Yes.
Okay, last question. I swear. I
It's
like
not
to.
fast, I promise.
Okay, I just want to be respectful. I like to end each interview by asking, what is something that you're fostering for yourself lately?
I think self-trust,
Ooh,
honestly. Like trusting myself. Like genuinely. Like I that that I self-trust, honestly. Um I mean, that's like the one. I think I feel a lot of indecisiveness, like about a lot of different things. Like, should I stay here? Should I do this? Should I move this way? Should I move that? If I have self trust in whatever decision I choose to make, then I'm allowing myself to have a human experience. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not going to be the end of the world for me. If it does, it does. And it's just like learning to not put so much pressure around making decisions
mm-hmm.
and just kind of allowing myself to ebb and flow. So just self trust is really what I'm fostering.
That's
Anytime
a
I've ever
really
really
good one.
think too much about it and did it, it always worked out. Like genuinely, even the most delusional thoughts,
Literally, that that part.
it always ends up working out. You know.
That is so special. Well, Janelle, this has been such a pleasure. Probably my favorite interview this year. Thank you so
Ah,
much.
don't hold me up.
Do you want to plug or promote anything?
No, just follow me on my socials. Make sure you go follow the fostered. Make sure you shout out our girl. Make sure you like this episode. Please download the episodes too, because I don't think people understand the importance of downloading
Tell
podcast
them.
episodes. Because like I get a lot of girl, let me tell you, I be getting them listens, but download them.
Yeah.
Please. That helps your host. Download her episodes. Please.
And please go check out To All the People podcast. Literally, if you just need that dose of motivation, that real talks, and just inspiration to just like kickstart your day, that is a podcast. And it comes out every Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, every Monday.
I've missed a couple of weeks myself. I'm not gonna the longest I've gone is 2 weeks for sure. It happens. Life, sometimes you feel burnout.
Yeah, I've definitely gone way longer than 2 weeks, but I'm hoping I can get an episode out tomorrow, so it won't be 2 weeks because I didn't post last week, so I'm hoping I can get one out this week, so it won't be 2 weeks again.
It's okay. They're still gonna be there. The people are still gonna be there
That
waiting.
is, I've noticed like my numbers actually are like still trending upwards, even though I'm not consistent.
You have a great podcast. You
Thank
really,
you.
really, really, really do. And I just like the things that you talk about. I think there are so many podcasts about relationships and dating, but not enough about relationship with yourself. And I think that what you do is absolutely amazing. Like literally, I was like upstairs listening to it while I was getting ready, and Luke was like, "Is that one podcast you've been listening to?" I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Oh, she has a good voice." I was like, "She does, right?"
Thank you.
Just girl, you got this.
Yeah, I just need to stop getting in my head, honestly. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, John. Let you go. That episode. Oh my gosh. Thank you to Janelle for coming on. Please check out her podcast, To All the People podcast. It is so good. Literally the best way to start your week. And then on Wednesdays, you can come hang out with me on The Foster. If you have not already, please follow the podcast. Please subscribe. It means the most. That is how we grow as a podcast. Like Janelle said, download. I didn't even know about the download, so that tells you how behind I am in podcasting. But yes, download, do all the things you should do to support the podcast you love, share them. And yeah, I just feel so grateful to Janelle. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate y'all so much. I hope you have the best week. Bye.